Hello and welcome on Watches TV, and today we will talk about something which may surprise you a bit, as we are going to talk Chinese watches. And we will do so with a brand some of you may know called Baerens, but before coming back on some of their models, I wanted to expand a bit on this notion of Chinese watchmaking, as we all have some preconceptions regarding this, and generally not super favorable ones. But I seriously think that times are changing and we should look at it a little bit more objectively. And I say this being a Swiss guy based here in Switzerland, the guardian of the temple of quality watchmaking, but there are some other churches around the world. And to make an analogy, well, think at some of these Korean cars seen 20, 30 years ago and our reactions at the time and what they've become today. Okay, Mercedes, BMW will remain what they are, but the gap is for sure narrowing down, both in terms of pure quality, but very importantly, going with the perception of these cars. And I say this even though I guess I will always remain faithful to BMW, but I mean, you get my point. So yes, when we think Chinese watches, we tend not to associate this with quality and creativity, and often understandably so. But I think it's a bit too easy to summarize it like this. Well, firstly, and let's be honest, but many Swiss brands have outsourced the manufacturing of some components to China and other Asian countries for quite a while, including movement parts, cases, etc. And it's only recently, and partly due to the pandemic and the logistics problems, that some have brought back production in Switzerland, additionally to the fact that more people were starting to ask questions about this. So initially, the main reason for this outsourcing was to optimize cost, but if brands did so, the quality of what had to be produced still had to meet the high quality standards required by these same brands, which means that the manufacturing know-how of some of these outsourcing companies has obviously increased in time. Secondly, regarding the creativity, well, it's true that there has been a lot of copycatting for a long time, but now we're starting to see quite interesting and original things, and this is what I want to point out with the example of the day. With Baerens and the 4 watches I will quickly review, and not to mention Chinese watchmakers that are today members of the HCI. So Baerens was founded in 2012, and each year we see some evolution. A few years back I had reviewed this piece, and obviously it all reminded of a little something, but naturally at a fraction of the price of the original model, and of course not on the same par when it comes to the overall quality of the piece. But nevertheless, I thought that this was still a pretty cool one, and I did like the box it came in. I mean, pretty cool. Nice little feature here. Okay, but now let's look at some more recent models, and I will start with the B017 Constellar. It's a self-winding mechanical watch with a dark blue aventurine back dial, which is indexed on the date mechanism, meaning that the dial jumps by a few angles every 24 hours. The time display consists of 2 subdials, one for the minutes and one for the hours. And on this last one, you actually have a 24-hour indication with the smaller and darker hand. And in the center, you have a large seconds hand. At 12 o'clock, you have a moon phase indicator, but you can't really set it, or let's say, well, you can set it the old school way by taking the time to turn the crown till you reach the desired position. So if you're off by 2 days, it's kind of okay. If it's by 20 days, well, it will take you a little time to do so. But for more or less 3,200 Swiss francs, well, I think it still looks cool. And I remember seeing a guy wearing this watch during the Geneva Watch Days. And it was interesting to see how many people would come to him asking him actually what he was wearing. Okay, watch number 2 with the brand's 3rd generation of the B011 model series. It has a more sporty feel to it, with a bit of a space station vibe to it too. And here you have an outer disc rotating in 12 hours, and you read the time by looking at the number closer to you at 6 o'clock. And for the minutes, it's in the center with the small hand, and yet a smaller hand for the seconds. So quite an original time display for more or less 2,000 Swiss francs. Well, and talking space station, well, let's remain there with this 3rd watch, the B025 Mars Project 1. Obviously a very peculiar design, but quite a cool one, and one which won't go unnoticed for sure. I mean, this piece displays our regular Earth time with these aligned trailing rollers, hours on one side, minutes on the other. And you can also read the time with the globe view of the Earth. But it's the opposite globe, the one representing Mars, which is really cool, as this one turns on itself in 24 hours and a bit more than 30 minutes, meaning the time it takes for Mars to make a full rotation a sol day. So you have a date indicator in the middle, but sincerely, it's quite impossible to read apart with a magnifying glass. And then on the side of the titanium case, you have two pushers to adjust the day indication, but again, I mean, quite complicated to read. Nonetheless, I think this piece is seriously cool, though way too big for my normal size wrist. But this piece really has something special, which, by the way, came out a couple of years ago and was limited to 200 pieces. And as you can expect, well, they were all sold at the price around 11,000 Swiss franc at the time. Okay, let's now talk about one of the newer model with this Perigee, and the one we have here is actually a prototype, and things haven't been totally finalized compared to the commercial version that will come out pretty soon. So this piece is also quite original and will most certainly spark conversation around you while wearing it. I mean, you have a bit of everything with this one: an original shape with this pretty cool glass box, a pretty cool movement view on the backside, and in terms of time display, well, there's a full program there. So the hours can be seen with this chain mechanism, and each link is held to the next one with some ruby bearing between the two. So you read the hour in the middle, and this is also where you will find another Earth globe rotating in 24 hours. And regarding the minutes, well, you have a 60 minutes retrograde system at 3 o'clock. But the show doesn't stop there, as you have a moon on the periphery of the dial turning around in a full lunar cycle. So yes, definitely original, and the price will be set around 16,000 Swiss francs, so surely beefing up their game in terms of mechanical expression and higher prices. But finding some kind of equivalent with the full Swiss watch will be, of course, quite difficult. So with these watches, I just wanted to share with you an example of something different. And you guys know we rarely talk about prices, but here it does make a point. And I know we're not talking classical or super ultra high-end timepieces, but considering what they are, their distinctiveness, and especially the doors that they open for a Chinese brand, well, they are nonetheless worth talking about, and I'm fully convinced that it's only the beginning, and we should keep this in mind coming back to my preliminary words about Korean cars. But as we were in Singapore recently to cover the Singapore watch fair where Barron's was exhibiting, well, I thought it could be interesting to get some feedback of the perception of such watches among some of the people attending the show. So let's hand it over to Lisa and Julia.
We saw another good brand. I think it's Berren, the one just behind. Yeah, I think they are also an independent watch brand, and they shared with me that they chose this name because it's a famous German architect, something like that, that they share their beliefs with. So,
what do you think about the watches?
I think it's phenomenal. I think they've done a great job. You can see that the watchmaker has put his heart and soul into making something super innovative.
What I like about the watch is the mechanism behind it, and this watch actually presents a very unique working mechanism, and the movement of the mini hand they are in change, which is the first time I see such movement in a watch.
You can see that the materials that they're using, the styling that they're using is something completely out of this world, at least for me. So, I'm very happy to be able to experience this and learn more about it from Eric, the watchmaker.
we adore their watches and would definitely be looking to getting one.
I have no doubts that they'll be successful in Europe as well.
Were you surprised to find out that this is a Chinese brand?
Is it?
Well, this is it for us, and I know this report might surprise a few of you, but I have to say that I'm really looking forward hearing and reading your reactions. Will be very interesting. See you real soon, and viva watchmaking!